Thank you very much, everybody. My name is Nicholas Adams. I'm here on behalf of TI Tokyo to talk to you about RIAK'S REBOUND. Some of you who came to San Francisco may have seen the initial version of this talk. This is the updated one based on recent events and also based on some feedback that I had way too many bullet points. So, in true theme, we start off with a bullet point. Okay, in today's talk, I'm going to give you a brief introduction. I'm going to talk about Basho and its painful death. I'm going to talk about how we rescued things. I'll keep the rest of the information about that secret for now. I'll talk about the future of Riak, where we're going, what we're doing, and we're going to finally finish off with a brief Q&A session. So, without further ado, people who came to San Francisco may remember calling us the Riak Guys. This was a term coined in San Francisco. And as soon as I came here, people recognized me and said, "You're one of the Riak guys," which I thought was really nice. People actually know who I am, which is awesome considering I was an unknown in the Riak community this time last year. So this is a brief link to my talk from last time. I witter on a lot about myself there, so if you want to learn about me, go watch that. If you want to watch some awesome interruptions by some birds on my slides, that's even better, and it has nice comic value for people who attended. Anyway, moving on, the Riak guys are of course myself, but there are the big players. There is Bet365, said to be the world's largest online betting community, or betting service. They are a very big player in the Riak world. We have the NHS, said to be the world's biggest employer, bar perhaps the Chinese army. And strange as it may seem, us, TI Tokyo, probably one of the most obscure IT companies in the world. But we still we are the world's only provider of enterprise-grade Riak support, so we are closely tied to the subject. But now, going on, I'd like to move on to talk about Basho itself. Basho, believe it or not, was a very, very impressive company. It was a $55 million venture company. During its time, at its peak, it had over 70 large-scale customers. And we're talking household names that probably everybody here would at least be able to roll off 30, 40 of those without even struggling. That's how big they were. Even now, post-Basho, I can tell you that the products they made were really good. Our largest customer we support at the moment has over 1,500 nodes in production. The largest single cluster we support has over 115 nodes in it. The largest supercluster we support has over 300 nodes in it. The largest customer we have has over 11 petabytes of data in Riak running on a daily basis. And there we go, I knew this was going to happen, but there are no birds. Oh well, never mind. Basho itself had these incredible things we went on to do. Oh, we're back, there we go. And from there, Basho went on to grow and develop, and there was lots of additional venture capital put into it, and things were interesting. So what did Basho do? They followed the money. And it was good at first. They'd started doing creative, innovative functions that went on to help people to gain more customers to continue to build up the business, which was great. They then went on to follow the money possibly a little bit too much and started to introduce functions that weren't really tied into what Riak was about, and maybe could have been done better because they were rushed. And there are a few functions, strong consistency, nice idea, not quite what Riak's about, not quite fully implemented, still has bugs in it, and was never really finished because the money ran out, so we weren't interested anymore. So we went on to chase the next thing, like JMX and so on, which was an equally interesting progression. But never mind about that, we're still a profitable company, we're doing stuff. How else can we move on? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Basho was a pioneer in many ways. Basho pioneered the Brexit approach to self-improvement. How did we go about doing that? It was a truly awesome path. So we have Riak KV. This is a big money maker. Our customers want to have improvements to do this, to use this product. What should we do? We're going to ignore the customers completely and develop something else. RIAK'S is another great, it was also called RIAK'S2. It has both names, just to confuse you. RIAK'S or RIAK'S2 was another great product. It made a shed load of money in Japan. So they killed it. Obvious great business logic there. What did they do instead? They created the Basho data platform. Has anybody in here even heard of that? No, obviously you're very well adapted. Oh, one in the audience, two in the audience. Thank you very much. But I know there are people here who worked for Basho. Of course you know about it. You are probably involved in building it, whether you thought it was wise or not. So Basho Beta Platform was an incredible flop. But instead of that, we're still going to invest all this wonderful money we have, because Basho is still a great profitable company, and we're going to build RIAK'S finally, because customers want this product. People want time series products. So we built BDP, but now they want time series, so we're going to build time series. But Basho was so long in building time series that it's a good product, but it came to market 2 or 3 years too late. So most of the customers had already gone on to find solutions they wanted to use instead, or TS just didn't have the tools necessary to keep the customers happy at the time. There was a lot of running around trying to add new bits to TS to just try and improve it, but it was too little too late, to be honest. So we've seen how Basho went on with that approach, but then as the venture capitalists continued to exert their pressure on Basho, things became even worse. The quote to this slide, "a greased slide to failure," is actually from the legal case where the original founders of Basho sued Georgetown Partners. If you want to read the case, which is absolutely fascinating, go check out that link. It's a better story than you'd find in a lot of modern films. But it is seriously fascinating. It'd be amazing. How can people be this evil? It's incredible. So yeah, go read that if you want a good laugh. But going back to the original talk, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. Yes, so having had Basho completely do creative things with the products to annoy their users, to annoy the customers, they then went on. The finances were equally creative. If you looked through the sales, you'd notice there are contracts that have very basic mathematical errors. We're talking basic addition, basic multiplication here, guys, that you can do on your fingers. But still, that had a lot of zeros after it, and people signed off, and nobody questioned it, which is bizarre. There are some contracts where Basho went on to sell multi-year support packages at huge discounts. Why were they doing that? They were trying to pump up the money to make Basho look attractive. And the reason Georgetown Partners were doing this increasingly was twofold. One is they were trying to prep the company for a sale, but also they were trying to maneuver themselves into a controlling position. Again, read the legal case. It's fascinating how they do this. Move into a position where they were in full control of the company, so they could literally dictate what they could and couldn't do. So Basho was being prepped for a sale. To take a quote from the case, what Georgetown Partners were trying to achieve is generate a quick and outsized profit by investing in Basho and selling it within 2 years, with the goal being 2013. This, as many people know, didn't actually happen. And it wasn't for lack of offers. The sellout itself, it failed to happen. But the sellout failed because it was down to a mixture of pride and greed. There were offers. To be perfectly honest, my company offered to buy it. We put forth an offer for, I think, either $2.5 million with a multi-year payback. We would honor all the customer contracts, even though the money had evaporated. We would take on all the existing Basho support staff, engineers. We'd just keep everything running, make everybody happy, and take a big cut off the top because that's where all the money was going. And we didn't want that. And they basically turned around and said, no. We're sure that somebody's going to descend on us, they're going to ignore our creative accounting, and they're going to shower us in with money and everything will be wonderful. Which, of course, never happened. So, what happened? Well, Basho, beaten, unloved by its owners, went on slowly bleeding to death. We went to see the sales team go first, the marketing team, the engineers who were promised ongoing employment were suddenly let go a wave at a time. I was one of the last ones there. I was working in Basho until early May 2017. But at the end of May 2017, Basho basically rolled over and died. It was a really sad time. There were some wonderful people who put their hearts into making this product amazing, were just suddenly let go, and the customers were sitting there in shell shock, having paid multi-year contracts. Where's the money gone? Where's our support? What do we do? And that was a really hard time for Basho, for Riak. So now we're looking at the time of, we had to assess the situation. Basho is dead. The customers have no idea what to do. Do they rush into some other product? Do they hire ex-Basho engineers? Do they support it themselves? Which quite a few people did successfully, as it doesn't go wrong that much. But essentially, they'd seen their money evaporate. They didn't know what to do. They were upset. Most of the key knowledge was in the heads of the engineers who were scattering around the world to work with different companies all over the States, in Europe, everywhere. So this key knowledge pool was evaporating very rapidly. And the products themselves, with Basho gone, what happens when the money runs out on the GitHub account, on the videos, on everything, the AWS services, the docs? They're all going to vanish. What do we do? All this key knowledge that's part of Riak is going to just disappear into the nether, and this is all going to disappear. So, what on earth do we do? How do you rescue a product in such a terrible state? So, this is where, first of all, we came in. May finished, Basho went under. First thing we did was, June the 1st, hi! We used to do APAC support for Basho. Would you like to be our customer? And believe it or not, they bit. It's true. First customers started lining up in Japan, which is where my company is based. But because we were well connected, we were also able to reach out to former Basho staff in the US, and in Europe, we started hiring former engineers. As the word got out, we started talking to more and more former Basho customers, and we started getting the customers to come back. Yes, we did have to offer huge discounts compared to the fees that Basho charged. Yes, we did have to take a lot of abuse because customers thought we were just going to disappear as well after stealing their money. But we got there. The customers are there, even if they're much thinner on the ground than they used to be. What happened next? Over the summer, Basho's IP was sold off by the receivers. Bet365 swooped in here, bought all the IP, and made as much of it open source as possible, which was absolutely awesome. They paid the AWS bill, they paid the GitHub bill. Everything is still there and intact. So, well done, Bet365. From there, what else went on to happen? We started a community. There were a few false starts here and there, but eventually we kicked off a community in Slack. Check out the link if you're interested in Riak. There are lots of people there. It's becoming more and more active. Stuff about today is also here, so it's all good fun. Recently, this was announced at San Francisco, we started the Riak info website. I'm afraid it's still work in progress. We got caught out by tax laws, so we were busy working on that and put Riak info to one side. But that's sorted now, so we're back and working on the website, and that's awesome. And people are becoming interested in that. But one of the other key factors that really made things happen was we had to pick up the pieces and start again. This effort, this incredible effort, was spearheaded by the NHS. What they did was they basically went through quite a lot of the existing code, and this was also a very interesting conundrum. Just before Basho folded, Riak KV 2.5 was scheduled for release. I actually received a message while I was working in Basho saying, Riak 2.5 ready and shelved. And then a few weeks later, everything fell to pieces. So the NHS then have this product that may be ready for work, may not be ready to work. They're not sure. Or they have the option of rolling back to the last known good release, 2.2.3, and building from there. But even then, there were issues because Riak's traditional sales model was there was the Enterprise Edition version, and there was the Open Source Edition version. And the Enterprise Edition version had extra features. So, what do we try and do? Well, we tried to stick the Enterprise Edition features into the original open source version and see what happened. And it didn't build. Yay. So, there was a lot more work involved there. There were a lot of other things that didn't quite work properly that were partially broken. And there were lots of features as well that we were thinking, well, do people still use this? this feature was put in to keep such and such a customer happy, but they're no longer a customer. They don't even use Riak. Why do we have this? But sorry, need to switch into the wrong language then. But Riak still progressed. 226 was released. People are starting to use it. And it's now making things a lot more interesting. So, as mentioned earlier, there was the GitHub, and Basho's GitHub was absolutely huge. There were thousands of repos. If you include tags, probably millions, and forks as well. It was insane. And there was so much stuff in here. It's an ongoing adventure. There are some features that are obvious. There are some features that are used in Riak on a daily basis. There are some features that are definitely useful. And there are some features in there that their purpose and meaning have been completely lost in the annals of time. But even so, we're continuing to go through this. And this was actually an interesting story that spurred an interesting bit of development. I was looking through the code of RIAK'S for one of our customers. They had a bug, and we were trying to trace where exactly in the code this issue was coming from. It turned out to be a configuration issue, not a bug, but essentially I was going through the source code trying to find out what was causing it. And while I was digging through the source code, I was looking through different versions to find out where the source code had been changed, and I found this tag. It said Riak 2.1.2 RC1. And I was thinking to myself, hang on, 2.11 was the last release. What's this? So I had started going through the code, and I found there was an early version of RIAK'S 2.1.2 with additional features that had never been released that was just sitting here from the days that Basho suddenly said, oh, RIAK'S, we don't want that, we're going to kill it off, and we're going to kill the offices in Japan as well because they do most of the work on it. So this thing had been cancelled, and it was the RC1 status, so I went through the code for that, much like the pain in the Riak KV story where they had to combine the open source features with the enterprise features. I went through and did that. I enabled some of the experimental features that had been work in progress, such as v4 signature support to make it compliant with modern standards. And we went to an RC2. And it was released. RC2 went out the start of this year. And at CodeBeam San Francisco earlier this year, we're very pleased to release RIAK'S 2.1.2. But the story goes further than that. Whilst looking through the GitHub, to build packages for the partner to RIAK'S, which is called Stanchion, I noticed that there's a tag here for Stanchion 2.1.2. And what had happened was, Basho had made Stanchion 2.1.2 to be released at the same time as CS 2.1.2, but CS 2.1.2 was scrapped. So Stanchion 2.1.2 had simply been mothballed. So here I had a complete release waiting to go live that I just stumbled across by looking through the annals of GitHub to see how I could build packages for things like Ubuntu Bionic, because Basho never made those, as Bionic didn't exist. And through that, we had the full release of Stanchion 2.1.2 at the same time as CS 2.1.2, which was absolutely awesome. And speaking of new releases, this is one that's very special. If you look closely at the link, 2.9.0, I'm very pleased to announce, thanks to a lot of hard work by some people in this room and a lot more people who can't be here today, Riak KV 2.9.0 is released today, which is absolutely awesome. I'm very pleased to say that. It's been a long time coming. Sorry, I should not get emotional over this, but it is really a great achievement for us. And I've completely forgot what I was going to say now. Yes, so the road to Riak KV 2.9.0, which has a lot of new features. One of the key ones is the new backend in pure Erlang, which gives you very significant performance improvements. Has made this a great product already. It's been tested by the NHS, it's been tested by Quivik, it's stable, it's good, it's out. Please check it out, people. If you want a KV store, this is a good start, and it's getting even better. This is going to be Riak KV version 3. We're hoping to have an initial build sometime around the end of this year. And by simply moving from OTP 16 to OTP 20 for that build, the performance improvements are incredible. We're talking orders of magnitude. Even without changing the code in this, it does exactly the same stuff, but it gets so much faster, so much better, and retains the stability that's already in place. But on top of all of this, we also have new and hidden users coming out into the community. Right as I speak, I have a trainer getting on a plane to fly to Central Europe to give a training session for a financial institution that's about to go live with Riak KV 226. These people have never used Basho in production before, but they're starting with the newest version that I had the pleasure of packaging on this laptop. So I think that's absolutely awesome. And that shows how the community is coming today. The other day while I was on Slack, somebody came to me, a FreeBSD user. Basho abandoned FreeBSD a few years ago, but we started building packages for it and thinking they might come back. And a FreeBSD user on 226 asked me a question, and that's so awesome. It's new users. We've wanted this so much. They're coming back. It's absolutely amazing. And even better, there are new contributors. One guy suddenly asked me a question out of the blue by email saying, oh, where's such and such a package? And I sent him an email. This is where the package is. Go download it. Tell me how it goes. He writes back a few days later, I installed the package, I added the things he wanted, I had a few issues with the firewall. So here's a script in Rust that opens all the firewall ports for you. And that's just incredible. This completely new guy is writing brand new stuff in Rust, which we've never even used in Riak before, to make Riak a better product for the community. And that's absolutely awesome. I should probably keep an eye on my notes here as I'm talking about something else. Yes, another guy came up, one that I thought was great. I actually mentioned in the talk somebody else, not in the talk this morning, but wrote to me on Slack again. He's using OTP 21 with React Core, Elixir, and Phoenix. And that's great. Elixir and Phoenix combined together with Riak is an incredible community join. We have the Erlang base of Riak, we have the practicality of outward-facing application of Elixir, all joined to one in one amazing ball of mud. Is that the right term? But I'm sure people know what I'm getting at. And all these people out there, they're new, they're contributing, they're making it a better place. And even now, compared to San Francisco, there are so many more faces in this room that make it feel, yes, we are having an effect. Riak 226, 3, maybe 4 contributors made that happen. Riak KV 2.9, 14, 15 contributors made that happen. Moving forwards, Riak 3. That's going to have probably about 20, 30 contributors. We're slowly getting there. And for every person who comes to listen to one of these talks, to come and help out a little bit, your appreciation, even by just using our products, testing them, feeding back, saying what's broken, even the smallest thing as an incredible contribution you can make the community. And we really appreciate everything you do. From there, I'm starting to run out of time, so I should probably move into a Q&A session. But if anybody wants to ask about technical stuff, there's a talk by Martin Sumner right after this that talks about Riak and its more technical aspects. So please go check that out. It's absolutely awesome. He's shown me the slides before. It's well worth watching. And he talks about the performance increases I mentioned a second ago. Anyway, please, Q&A. Let's take it on.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Questions?
Stunned silence? Really?
Nothing.
Did I get too excited? I don't know. Sorry. Yes. A former Basho person, even better.
So I was just wondering about what plans you or the wider community has for moving beyond the OTP 20 release to something even newer and probably faster also.
Ah, you're asking me technical questions. Damn. Now, I believe that after Riak KV 3 is out, there have already been 1 or 2 attempts to build it on OTP 21, so we do plan to continue going forwards. At the moment, the best information tells me that we are going to stick with the vanilla builds of OTP rather than doing the custom builds which Basho used to do, because they're just a pain to get off. And that also gives us the advantage of being able to import new features such as security, etc. straight on the fly, rather than having to rebuild the whole thing. Does that help? Excellent.
More questions?
So thanks for sharing all this history. It's important to understand the value and how these things, how it is now. And yesterday I presented a talk on how we are using it. And
I was there.
Yeah. And I would like to understand how React Core in the middle of this will also evolve and how it works with Kiwi, the product also.
Oh, right. I love the way people are asking me technical questions. Ask Martin. Essentially, React KV... No, I can't speak now. React Core runs underneath React KV anyway. So to make KV evolve, React Core has to evolve with it because KV doesn't work without React Core. Therefore, Core will evolve, but it will probably have a greater part of its evolution based on the needs of the KV community, unless we get a huge group of people come in and say, we want Core to do this. But if you want to be a pioneer of that, that would be awesome. So please feel free to jump in and help out wherever you can.
All right, it's time for the last break before the final sessions. So thank you again, Nicolas.
Thank you very much.